what it was like to make a movie. So he said if somebody would write a short script, he's always wanted to do his own. So I wrote the script, and then he pulled everything together, and we made a short film called Second Death. And from that, we were just hooked. So pretty much our core group of people from Second Death got together and formed the Adrenalin Group. Started, our first project was Forever Dead, which was a longer version of Second Death. And that was our first feature. We got distribution. We went on and made this more brains, and then a few brains more, and we've done some shorts, and we're having a good time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
A lot of the things that people are starting with are shorts. What do you do in terms of trying to get that distributed? I mean, you're certainly looking at a whole different ballgame than trying to get a feature out there somewhere. What are the pros and cons of that, and what do you do with your short once you've got it completed?
An obvious answer is the film festivals, which are certainly taking off now for the parade. And they always used to say you can't sell a short, but also now you've got the internet too, where there's different venues for short films.
I wish I had an answer about distribution. I don't. We don't have any distribution whatsoever. But especially with the advent of the internets and the YouTubes and everything else, I mean, it's put it out there to a worldwide audience. So part of the nature of that too, double-edged sword, is that you can have a brilliant short film. You can put it out on YouTube, but if you don't tell people and let them know it's there and post it on everyone's space and send out emails and all sorts of stuff like that, no one's going to find it. There's some absolutely brilliant short films out there, but yet you can have a video of a cat burping and farting at the same time, and it'll get 75 million hits. We've got some brilliant shorts out there, and I get 50 hits on the whole. But distributions, I mean, we're actually working on right now, especially with the short film trilogy project.
That's an area that I'm not very savvy in myself. I will say that the default to the whole networking thing and talking to people, other filmmakers, using the internet. I mean, the internet is kind of a self-distributor. You put it up there, and like you said, if you have a quality product, it'll catch on and qualify. And then some people may come to you and ask about distributing it, wanting to distribute it. I know there are a number of televisions on Comedy Central. That's how he got his show. Is he did some stuff, put it online. Somebody saw it and said, "Hey, we should televise that." That internet thing, there's something there.
Not just porn.
Not just porn. Yeah.
I think that's one of the reasons I don't like short films so much, is because generally nobody pays to go see one at the AMC theater. That was why we came up with the Tales from Newtonville project, which was to combine all of our shorts and forge it into an anthology and then present it as a DVD, and essentially a full-length feature which we could actually sell to people that had enough content to give them their money's worth. Because we had, after the American Zombie Film Contest, we did a special edition DVD for Devil Comes Down, but it's a short film. And it's like, what kind of price point can you put on an 8-minute movie? You really can't, even though it's got almost 2 hours of behind-the-scenes features, which is insane. But the beauty is, with the internet, anything is possible. I can't think of the filmmaker's name right now, but I know he had a short film posted on YouTube, and Sam Raimi found out about it and optioned it for Ghost House for $2 million, and now he's on his way to Hollywood. And something similar happened with the guy that did District 9 is exactly what I was thinking of. Yeah, so the internet is a beautiful thing. It's just up to us to figure out how do we reach the masses, and that's just by making the best product, trying to captivate people. This is something that, referring to Brinke, who's here with us, the gentleman she worked with in the 80s were geniuses at that stuff. They knew who they were trying to reach. They put it right there in the title, Slave Girls from Beyond Infinity. It called out to its audience and made you grab it right off of the shelf. And that's what we as filmmakers have to do. But the money is in full-length features, which is what we have to aim for.
Okay, first off, I want to apologize. I really do care. I was talking at length with John Billingsley up there. I don't know if anyone was able to talk to him, but he'll talk your ear off, and he's quite captivating. And as is Bonita. So that's where I was. I do care about being here, and I do care that you guys showed up, cared enough to listen to us yammer on. And by the way, my name is Robert Fillion, and I was supposed to be on this panel. I'm not crashing the panel. Now, I'm guessing from everyone's response that the question was distribution, how to get something out there specifically.
Specifically for short films, but yeah.
For short films,
Yeah,
so yeah,
short.
well, yeah, absolutely, and you know, I've had some work. I've got some work under my belt in terms of getting features out. I've actually helped get distribution on two different features. One was Strike the Tent, which became The Last Confederate, and that's probably the most notable. But in respect to short films, I think Jamie McRoberts is probably doing it as well as you can. Create a little anthology, or create a compilation DVD, sell it yourself, because really, I'm not finding that anyone knows how to market these things. George Romero created Creepshow, and I think that he can do something like that as well. Of course, that was back in the 80s. He could do something like that because he was already established. People knew who he was, so they would flock out to see whatever he did. Those of us who are not so well known, we don't have that luxury. So in this case, the digital age, internet is the most powerful tool at our disposal, as is word of mouth, but not quite so much. I think it's all in how you market yourself, and in some cases, it's how much money you have to spend on the marketing.
Okay, so as far as distribution goes, the only distribution we've got so far are our features, and we're not really making any money off of that, especially these days, because most people aren't buying DVDs, they're streaming stuff, and you know, you can get a movie stream for like 99 cents, you know, so there's not a whole lot of a cut out of that. And with it being so easy to put your movies online now, I really think people should just cut out the middleman and just do it yourself, because that's the only way you're really going to make money. And there's quite a few companies out there that will help you do that. They'll do like a 60-40 split with you, and you can just, the only thing is, of course, you do have to promote it, which is a lot more work for you, but in the long run it would pay off, I think, and especially for short films. I know I've got a couple on YouTube. They have YouTube rentals, and you can do that on YouTube. You can rent them, or you can do advertise them to pay for, you know, to make money off of it. But just, you know, promote a lot.
I've seen technology change so much, where when I started making movies, it was all 35 millimeter, and the gigantic light packages, and then the video revolution in the 80s, and then it was, you know, direct to video, and then DVDs, and now the internet is really the way to go. So, you know, we've seen the demise of the mom and pop video store, and then we've seen the demise of the big stores, Blockbuster, and now Netflix is worried. They're doing the more play it now kind of thing. So I really think that in the next 10 years, the internet is going to be the way to watch things. I also think people's attention spans are getting shorter, and that it's really hard for people to sit through a whole movie, especially young people, because they're used to so much information coming in, that I think people might prefer shorts in the future. So perhaps channels will open up, like, you know, Sundance kind of channels that show short movies.
IFC does that too. They'll show, especially later in the evening, they'll show short films in between their regular scheduled programs, which I just recently learned as well, Independent Film Channel. Because I don't know how you go about getting your movie and show shorts.
I think we have a couple of questions out there.
Yeah, actually, I wanted, Rob, you and I talked about this, and this is something that I had a few people ask me over the weekend, and I'm getting your opinion on it too. That, you know, when I was out in Hollywood last year, all the guys out there were shooting video and doing film on digital SLRs. And, you know, you and I were talking about, you know, because I bought one too. 10 years ago, I spent $5,000 on an XL1 that, you know, I wouldn't use as a paperweight now. And, you know, and this was, nobody large camera with a $50,000 lens if you're an independent filmmaker. And we were talking about the Reds coming out, and they're still 30, 40 grand. But the next generation of SLRs, I mean, literally, do you think? I think the days of that is over. The $50,000 movie cameras.
I don't know that it's over. The problem that I'm finding, and I've had a lot of technical experience with these digital SLRs, their color capability is limited to being tweaked only so far. Once you go past a certain point, for example, with green screening and all, if your green screen isn't perfectly lit, you're screwed. So for that kind of thing, you need like a 444 color palette that a red or an RA is going to give you. For what we're doing here, I mean, digital SLR is truly a revolution in filmmaking. However, it's also a very big and nasty double-edged sword. It's creating so much content. Studios have all but closed their doors to newcomers. You cannot get anything in front of people. You need to know people. So,
Well, I think back in the day, you couldn't do the depth of field with lenses and all the things.
that's absolutely true, and that's exactly why it's such a huge revolution. I mean, you've got this massive image sensor in most cases, and you've got a wealth of lenses. Sure, absolutely. I mean, it's definitely the way to go for an indie filmmaker.
I just thought it was, that kind of threw me from loop because we were using them and like talking about it, and then literally when I went to Hollywood, there's guys who are music videos with Billy Idol. He's got a 5D Mark II with a prime lens on it, and that's what they're shooting on. Where 10 years ago that would have been probably. Well,
Billy Idol is still alive. Let's not talk crap about Billy Idol.
I was asking a question.
That sounds like a film title. Billy Idol is still alive.
Yes, Bill?
I have a question for Brink. You worked with a lot of indie filmmakers back in the 80s. Who were the best ones to work with, and what was it that they did that made a low-budget indie set an enjoyable experience for you?
One of the first movies I made was Slave Girls Premium on Infinity, and it had a $300,000 budget, which was considered ultra low at that point. People had to work for free, like the prop makers and stuff, because $300,000, it's impossible to shoot a movie for $300,000. But Charlie Band had Empire Pictures, Brett Olin Ray had American Independent, Dave Dakota, Red Art Pictures. And most of them had started shooting on 35mm. So they continued to do that, although things were released direct to video. And they were wonderful studios to work for because you had all the amenities. You had the dressing room trailer and a wonderful catered meal and different things like that. And then as I got more into the independent productions that were more grassroots, like spread across America, the conditions became far worse, like 16-hour days, sometimes 24-hour days, no food, no makeup artists, and it's harder for an actor to have to do this, where we're used to a certain kind of treatment, and then you get treated like furniture or worse. So I've seen a real decline that way. But the main sticking point with me right now is scripts. You think that in order to make a movie, you need a good script. And really, a script is the easiest thing to have, because you can work on it for as long as you want to before you shoot the movie. But I'm surprised how many bad scripts are out there. And it seems, in a way, that everything's been done. There's no new ideas. It's how you do it. But come on, just try and come up with something that's a little different. And from what I've seen on this panel, you guys are doing it. So it's really about cleverness now, because God, we've had zombie movies, we've had vampire movies. So it's about coming up with fresh ideas.
I thought it was just Brink.
No.
It was just for Brink. Any other questions? Questions? Okay.
It's 3 o'clock. Let's do this. Wait, that was yesterday.
Do you have any questions?
Anyway.
Like,
Ask a filmmaker. Or ask Brink.
Or
y'all said you guys had questions. Why don't you guys ask some Brink questions?
All the filmmakers asking great questions. That's
Brink,
not
what do you mean by
all.
we have a really great script?
We could ask the audience members who are makers what they're doing.
Yeah, how many filmmakers are in this audience? Okay. Okay.
Oh, that's right, you're right.
I have a question for you guys. How do you find conventions as far as distribution of your films? Do you get much attention by screening them and selling them here?
We've had a lot better luck at conventions than traditional film festivals. I think a lot of it's just, I mean, especially with conventions, you get that immediate interaction with, you know, a much wider, much larger, much more well-rounded, I guess, or more diverse sort of audience. You know, traditional film festivals. But I mean, like film festivals, I mean, are great if you can get into them. Sometimes they are a little bit elitist, but that's just my opinion. But with conventions, I mean, you know, just that massive amount of audience interaction you can have, because you get the direct one-on-one conversation, you know, with people just walking by your table and stuff like that. And if you have a visually appealing or visually stimulating table, or you have hot chicks dressed up in Valkyrie costumes running around handing out handbills for you, little things like that, like the convention for us has worked out so much better. We've gained a much broader, a much bigger audience than we would have if we had just done traditional film festival circuit stuff.
I was wondering, do you think you'll probably ever put the original line up for White Zombie back together?
I'm thinking right now I'm really busy with my brother Rich Robinson. We're doing our Black Crows tonight, so I got private.
Very valid question, Justin. Thank you very much.
I got it right, boss. We're all friends.
With the whole convention, this is my first year making my rounds to the conventions as a guest at the conventions, doing the whole filmmaking thing, and I find that just from the people you're talking to want to be here, they paid money to come here and talk to you. So I think that it does speak volumes, and then it helps exponentially with what you're doing as far as distribution goes, because they you know that's what they're here to do, is to talk to these, to talk to you, to see your stuff. I think it's fantastic.
The convention circuit is definitely a great way to contact individuals, to reach out to the crowd. We found a lot of success through the internet, through internet avenues. Mutantbill.com was really born out of a necessity of finding a way to promote ourselves, because reviewers, they just don't want to review indie films sometimes. Sometimes they will, sometimes they won't. You have to ask yourself why they review one film that's just absolutely horrible, but then they won't even take a look at yours. But they're just inundated with so many films, and you know, according to Sturgeon's Law, 90% of them are crap, which is usually true. So we started thinking outside the box at Mutantbill and saying, okay, well, we're going to promote ourselves. Well, how do we do that? Not everybody will listen to you if you're just talking about yourself. So we said, well, let's talk about everybody. So that's why we support indie horror in the area, where if you're indie, specifically horror filmmaker, we will definitely talk to you, promote you, put videos online, and we also try to key everything into whatever's going on in the national scene. Like we did a big promotion about the Scream 4 coming out, and it gets a ton of hits still today. Scream 4 is one of our biggest. My review for that on Mutantbill.com gets just tons and tons of hits, and yeah. So by promoting other people, we bring attention to the brand name, and then by that is how we get some more recognition. So that's what we've done. Frank has a question.
Can we still do fan reviews and films?
Yes. Yes.
Does that work well for you to get attention?
Yes, reviews get a ton of hits. If you can get out and get a review up, like the day something comes out, you get a ton of hits. And it's all in the wording too, and how you put it up, and what kind of a crowd that it attracts. We get a lot of hits from reviews and from interviews and convention things. Last year, Gio and myself, we went to the Fright Night Film Fest to talk to Roger Corman, and I guarantee you, he and I talked to him the most at that entire convention, because we went to the drive-in and we spoke to him there while we were all watching Death Race 2000 with Roger Corman, and got to talk to him about filmmaking. And then they had a big ceremony with Sunday, we stayed the whole event and spoke to them. And because we presented it as in, okay, we're going to cover this event as a media outlet, and we came back and we put all of our videos online, well, then Ken Daniels, the promoter, contacted us, and he said, hey, you guys, we love what you did. We love the way you came out and you promoted everything. You didn't ask us to get it free or ask us for this or that. You just came on your own dime and you did it. And now this year we're going back as media, and we're going to talk to John Carpenter and Henry Winkler. So you have to think outside the box.
And you guys do, and I can definitely attest. They've been very supportive to me. So yeah, hats off to you guys. In regard to conventions and all being very good avenues for getting to know people, it's absolutely a fact. I would sooner do a convention. I've probably been turned down for more short film festivals than anybody. And the problem there is you can never identify who is turning you down. What I did was request a review sheet from one of these places, and I read it, and it had me scratching my head. I mean, did these guys actually even review my movie before they turned it down? Because everything that they had written about it is totally contradictory to what everyone else who's ever seen the thing has said. So, got frustrated going to film festival round. That's why you'll seldomly see my stuff playing at a film festival. I'm just not getting into conventions, and I really love getting to know people, and I'm getting better at public speaking. I'm getting out from underneath my shell. That's been a big problem of mine because I'm typically fairly quiet and reserved. Not that you can't talk to me, but you have something different to say.
Be quiet and reserved as any jabbermouth will be.
Now more about me. No, I think that there are only certain festivals, and there are so few that are worth the time. And actually, we've got one in our backyard, Nevermore Film Festival. Yeah. I was treated so well there. I was just, my jaw was agape. I could not believe that a smaller festival like this is actually treating people like they are, but they believe in the work. And more importantly, they believe in filmmakers, and they're not trying to kill you on cost for entry or anything. So yeah, it's fantastic to have resources like that here. I haven't found another film festival like Nevermore anywhere. We're lucky.
I have to say that I find it a lot easier to get us into conventions than film festivals. And another good thing about conventions is you have a much better chance of getting on a panel or discussion that talks about filmmaking, and you can really, tell everybody, about what you do and how you do it, which gives people more of an interest. It's not just about the movie that they're screening, it's about what's behind the scenes on all of that stuff. The only downside I would say sometimes is film festivals sometimes have better equipment as far as showing your movies and stuff. Conventions aren't always set up for that, but truthers. Yeah, they are getting there, yeah. And it's just great to get it in. And sometimes even if they don't have a festival, they'll just screen your movie because they just have movie screenings. And that's the bottom line, is you just want to get your movie seen and talk to people and let them know that it's out there.
Question? Yes.
There seems to be a pretty active grassroots filmmaking community in this part of the country. How aware are you guys of what other people around are doing, and does that affect what you're doing? Get word of mouth about what somebody else's project is, and think, well, what I'm doing is kind of similar, maybe we'll want to tweak it this way, that kind of thing.
We're, Matt wants something, we were out in Greensboro, but we know, I think a lot of filmmakers around Greensboro, around High Point, Winston-Salem, you guys were, Raleigh, Charlotte, Millington, and stuff like that, so we're always very aware of what our cinematic comrades are doing, because a lot of times, if they've got spaces on their crew or something like that, or they need help, or we've got gear that they need, or they want to use a camera or lighting or something like that, it's just a very sort of communal, bohemian kind of group where you've got to go ahead and be able to work with somebody else and somebody to help out with what they're doing, and then in turn they're going to help you out. So it's like we know a lot of what's going on. We've helped other people produce short films, and then we've also kind of seen some film sets where they're doing something really wicked cool that we hadn't thought of before. So we sort of take that idea and twist it a little bit, and all of a sudden, bam, we're independent, filmmaking geniuses. But I think it's very important to know what's going on, as far-reaching and as wide in your filmmaking community as possible. Because there's some absolutely brilliant stuff going on out there. And if you can help someone out, and get them a little bit more exposure, something like that, it can only help you. It can't hinder you.
Getting involved with a project, and when you're on that project, networking with the people who are doing that project, you tend to, if you meet one person and get their email address, you tend to kind of be in the loop from there on. I personally, there's a website called tarheelfilms.com that I use. That's basically, it's a networking website, just like Facebook, but for all things in filmmaking. And most of it's independent stuff. There have been a couple of posts that are for larger budget, larger projects. But that site's been great. Facebook is too, because most film groups start a Facebook page for their group, and once you're on there with them, then you kind of are in the loop all over. I think it's important to know what other people are doing, because you never know, just the opportunity aspect of it is important. Finding out whether or not there's something you could do with the group or with the project. But I think it's very important to try to be aware of what's going on around you. That's just a good life lesson in general. Be aware.
Yes, I concur completely with these gentlemen. I like to be writer-director on my own sets, but I have absolutely no ego when it comes to someone else's set. I'll be a PA, I'll get you coffee, I'll hold a light, whatever. And it really is a community. We're very attuned aware of everything that's going on in the Charlotte area, a lot of our friends from South Carolina. And as I said, we found a niche with Newsbill.com where people weren't promoting horror in North Carolina. That's why I can sit here and say that we are North Carolina's number one source for horror, and there's no one else in the room that's going to say that. We found a niche and filled it. But I also keep my eye on the national level. There are guys out there like Scott Goldberg or Patrick Ray, which if you're not familiar with them, look them up. And they're doing the same thing we're doing. They're just in different parts of the country. And, we're all part of a big community. My vision for Newtonville has always been one for all and all for one. I believe in promoting everybody because I have supreme and utter confidence in my own work. I have no jealousy whatsoever. I know what I do is unique to myself, and I appreciate seeing others that are creating unique works that are expressions of whatever they're going for. And the more we promote each other, the better it is. And I wish this attitude would spread more through the horror community, because there are times where it gets a bit divided into us versus them for whatever reasons. Whether it's fans that get mad at certain conventions, or whether they get mad at certain filmmakers. Like, I don't understand the hate for guys like Eli Roth and Rob Zombie. It's all for one and one for all. And once we lose that attitude, then that's where the horror fandom itself kind of swallows its own tail.
I just did a movie in the Boston area, and they host a mixer in Boston once a month for filmmakers, and there's really quite a lot on the Eastern Seaboard there, small independent companies. So much so that south of Boston in Fall River, they're converting a warehouse to a sound studio for independent films, and also they're building a CGI warehouse, a place down there. And a lot of the recommendations for the indie films come through cast and crew. Like, I know a good makeup artist, or I know a good cameraman, and the makeup artist recommends a good actress, and things like that. So the networking is very important.
Question from Mr. Cates.
I was going to ask all you guys what you thought about at a convention, especially when you get to do panels or you're in the hallway and your fans get to come up and talk to you. I know there's some people that come up and say, "Man, I love that shot you did. How did you do that?" And I know some people just adamantly will not share secrets, but I know a lot of you guys, I've heard, well, yeah, I use this lens, we put a light up here, we did this. But how do you guys feel about, like, people coming up and asking questions?
And then there's a technical aspect, which I think, you know, everybody should share it. And it's not that difficult to get that information out there, and it's not like whatever you're doing is unique. Hitchcock probably did it already, or someone else, and it's already been covered. If they do a little more research, they'll find it. Why not be the guy that helps them, and then they can say, well, that guy helped me, versus that guy was an ass to me, and he didn't help me at all. So, yeah, I'd much rather help a guy out than be labeled the ass.
Yeah.
You don't want the ass there.
Dang it! I'm too late!
I agree. I really think that we should do everything we can to help other filmmakers be better filmmakers so that they don't make crappy films.
I mean, I got the whole reason I even was able to start doing this is because I asked questions, and that's a very important thing. It's a part of that networking, and you know, if somebody is interested in the field, then yeah, by all means help them out. I mean, it's good karma if nothing else. I agree. We need to help each other to improve our craft, because it's good for everybody if we help each other out.
And back to the networking and helping folks out on their sets, man, it's a fantastic way to increase your own technical acumen of how to actually shoot. I know in our case, helping out on other sets where there were bigger crews, folks actually helping move the cameras slide around. Wow, what a concept! That helped us to level up our game, certainly.
I think it's very good. If somebody comes up and asks you a question, they like the shot you did, or they want to know why you put the light here, or why did you frame this location the way you did. That's just pure encomium and complimentary. The fact that somebody took enough time to notice that and then remembered it 20 minutes later, or a half hour later, an hour later, or something like that. They wanted to find out how you did it or why you did that. I think you have to be able to help them out, because I can't speak for everyone else, but I was in that same position 5 years ago. I knew frack all about filmmaking. I was like, so I would just ask people, like, how did you guys do this, or why did you do it like that? So, I was in that same position of asking those same questions. So if I can help someone else, or I've got the technical people on my crew. I'll take that person and have them talk to the cameraman or the editor or something like that, so that they can get the most well-rounded answer that they can. Because like Christine said, hopefully that'll help them make a good film, and not utter gobshite, and not a remake of a reimagining of a re-envisioning. Speaking of which, we're also going to do a remake of the Hot Pink Jesus trilogy, so now you all have to come see it.
Awesome.
I'll share almost anything with anyone if they ask questions.
I'll tell them. Almost?
I'll tell them, well, I don't share my intent behind the movie. Like if they say, what did you mean behind the scene? I won't tell them, because it's not my job as the filmmaker to tell you what you should have got from the film. The film has to speak for itself. The work of art has to speak for itself. And I like for my works to speak differently to everyone. I know that's a douchey thing to say, but it's the level I operate at. I want to have fun with it too, but I want there to be some kind of meaning. But when it comes to sharing technical knowledge, I'll sit there and I'll coach somebody on Joseph Campbell's hero's journey, or how to work with the 3-act structure, or how to work with Blake Snyder's beat sheet. Anything. I'll tell you, I love it. Because the more I explain to you, the more it helps me. But the only thing I won't do is interpret my own work.
Any questions, Dexter?
Yeah, looking at future films in my area, and some of the things I'm seeing here, there's quite a degree of expertise difference. And one of the things I'm seeing is when somebody shoots something, they get an editing package, and they go, oh man, I got 400 transitions in this editing package. I'm going to use every one of them.
Star Wars.
Yeah. And maybe it would be, is there any way that maybe some information, some general information could be given to these fledgling people on just when to use proper transitions, just real basic film school stuff?
Yeah, the quick and honest answer to that is you can always tell an amateur by the number of diverse transitions they're using. Not everybody is George Lucas and can use wipes effectively, and I really don't recommend it. It has to be a very special occasion that I would use a wipe. my recommendation is to... Nice. Thank you.
Birthdays, anniversaries.
I just can't get I can't get away from this. Filmmaking is a dirty, dirty business, people. If you don't like it, get off the stage. Okay, so a white transition, for example. Yeah, see? I can subvert you. I would typically stick to dissolves and normally cuts. Use cuts if you can balance your art, whatever it is, out with a cuts only edit. You've done a great job. If you need a million different wipes for whatever reason, then you're probably looking in the wrong direction, and you're relying way too much on the visuals, and you're probably too new to do this. You need to get on another set or work with another person to continue.
That trend happening a lot of the quick 2-minute YouTube stuff.
Well, I don't know that it's the YouTube thing. This was an issue when I was going to college back in the 90s, when they came out with all the DVE switchers and stuff that would give you all these really awesome digital video effects. Look, we can move a cube in 3 dimensions and put a video on each side of the cube, and wow, isn't that great? Well, no, it's not so much, because it's distracting, it's boring, and it's now been done 1 billion times to death. So I think technology has given people a better grasp of all of this capability at a much lower budget, and they're throwing stuff against the wall to see if it sticks. Largely it doesn't. Stick with tradition. There's a reason it's tradition, because it's not distracting and it's very conducive to telling a quality story.
Okay, we're done.
And then there was silence.
I think we all agree with you.
Yes, ditto to what the white guy said.
Yeah.
Good Lord, everybody knows. Except that blind guy back there.
Did you say good
Thanks.
Lord?
Well, I think what you're seeing is just a lot of first-time filmmakers that are just experimenting, and their early works are just being shown really before they're ready. That is what you're seeing. We have a lot of mistakes in our past as well. We just try not to highlight those. We like to accentuate the positives in what we're doing now.
You don't like spotlights?
No. It's just a matter of learning one's craft, and hopefully those people, they're going through the process of learning it, and they'll improve and get better.
But one thing that I find that a lot of indie filmmakers are not willing to do is give a good, honest critique of one another, because we don't want to.
That's really important.
We don't want to alienate one another, and it's such a fishbowl community. But honestly, we need to be more honest with one another with regard to content. Take someone to task, be constructive. But
And
take it
on
to
the
task.
other hand, have a thick skin, and be willing to accept some criticism and advice on your films.
Yes.
I recently watched a documentary called The Sci-Fi Boys, which is relatively easy to locate at this point, but among the extras on there, they have early short films that were put together by some people that are well-known filmmakers now. A lot of those in those days were, silent 8mm cameras and that kind of thing. But a lot of those are very genre influenced, and they use in-camera effects and things like that that are surprisingly sophisticated for what they were working with. Do you think some of those techniques are still valid for low-budget filmmaking and worthwhile for the time you have to consume to do them and that kind of thing?
Absolutely. I'm sorry. Does anyone else want to?
No, that's all you know.
Okay. Absolutely, those effects are definitely still valid. They've for example, one of my favorites, and the one that I started and kind of got a little notoriety for when I was going to school for television, which is another thing. I started in television. I I created this sort of overlay effect. So I basically shot what is now considered a plate, okay? And I had my actor doing whatever they were doing, and the idea was that they were to walk and then disappear. So you shoot two different elements. You can do this in camera. You can do that with the 8mm cameras. You basically shoot your initial plate, then you do a double exposure, or you find some creative way to cut off that side of the lens, and then you shoot the other element, and basically the effect is the guy just walks into nothing, becomes nothing. That's one of the cool old school tricks that I learned from that genre of filmmaking, and it's very, very much still a part of anything that we can accomplish today, and has been used countless times in various ways. And I think what has happened is the modern technology has given us the capability to tweak these effects and to make them our own, and to give them a new angle. And so it's no longer just a simple little mask overlay. It's something completely different. It's now we can cause people to actually turn into vapor, and we can have lightsaber battles and things like that.
I think it's important to be aware of all the techniques of the past, because a filmmaker can never have enough tools in one's toolbox, so to speak. If I can use an analogy from martial arts, when you're in a fight, sometimes a knife will serve you well, and sometimes a grenade will serve you better. But if you're fighting someone in a phone booth, you don't want to use the grenade. So even something that seems outdated now, like stop motion animation, might have its time and place. For instance, there was an adaptation of Call of Cthulhu that came out in 2005 by the H.P. Lovecraft Society. And at the ending, they did a stop motion Cthulhu. And it worked for that film because of what they were going for. They shot the whole thing in black and white, and they did it in the feel of that time period, and it really worked. It might not be applicable to something more modern, but they're all tools, and the more that you know, the more you can use. All the way back to the lathe and the tricks that you came up with. Everything, every bit of knowledge helps. Knowing's half the battle.
Speaking as someone who enjoys watching films, I think upfront effects have give the film more personality. I think with digital effects and an increase in digital effects, it kind of removes you further from the film. Being able to immerse yourself in that film, and you can tell the difference between an upfront effect, an in-camera effect, and a digital effect. And those digital effects there's more of a separation, I think, from the audience. So I agree that you can never have too many tools in your toolbox. It's a great way of putting it, because you'll constantly be learning. And I think also that with the advancements in the technology, we can refine some of those in-camera techniques and maybe improve them or come up with new ones for the future. Stop agreeing. Oh, stop that tumbleweed.
Looks like we have time for one
We have 5 minutes. Anyone else have any other questions for Brinke?
Good one, yeah.
She's been neglected for the last 5 minutes.
One last comment about the visual effects. I watched a movie called Escape from Black Tree Forest, which was supposed to be like found footage from the 70s. And they did that grainy film effect, the streaks and stuff, through the entire movie. And after about 10 minutes, you just wanted to gouge your eyes out. I was so tired of seeing that.
I've seen a couple of movies that have done that. I can't remember the name of it. It was a horror movie. The whole movie was filmed in Romania. And throughout the movie, it was a movie about the making of a movie. And throughout the movie, the main character would watch clips from this old movie that was, and I just don't. I hated that. Like, if you're gonna spend all the money to make the movie, if you want something that's shot on 35mm, don't try to make the whole grainy camera. Just film something with a camera that does that, because you make a digital effect. Yeah, just use a crappy camera, because you can get a crappy camera, as opposed to spending hours making it look like a crappy camera, because it really does. That effect in general.
Yeah, well, those effects have a tendency to become repetitive.
Yeah.
I mean, there's only
There's so much randomness you can program in there.
exactly, and eventually it runs out, and the brain perceives it, and all of a sudden you're vomiting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What the hell kind of movies do you watch?
And then you need some light. That's exactly why I don't.
There's where the light
everyone in day.
Comment light.
I'm delighted that we have such a good audience. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you. Good questions.
Any other final
Last chance.
What's your next project?
Oh.
I've got a couple of movies in between, but I'm looking forward to September. It's called Flesh Eaters. I'm working with Lynn Lowry, Deborah Lamb, Linnea Quigley.
Oh.
So that should be a good one. It's a zombie cannibal kind of movie. I play the coroner, and it's a good role. I'm excited about it. Linnea kills me in the movie, and it's going to be a really gory death.
So we finished principal filming on Act 3 of the trilogy. Act 3 is called Have Faith, Will Travel. You can check out sneak peeks, behind the scenes stuff at hotpinkjesus.com.
Hopping Jesus.
Hopping Jesus. We're going to spend probably 4 or 5 months in post-production editing that, and then ideally have a great premiere set for it. And then also one of the filmmakers that was here last year, Kelly McClung, I might be flying out to Chicago to work with him on sort of like an action horror film. I think either the end of June, beginning of July, or something like that. So that'll be nice for me to be able to act in someone else's film and not have to direct 40 other people.
Right now, the film I wrote and directed with Adrenalin Group Perception is in editing. Hopefully it'll be, Christina will say actually when it'll be done. It'll be done soon. Like I said earlier, I do a lot of theater. Right now I'm actually involved in a production of, a live production of Dr. Horrible's Sing-Along Vlog. All the proceeds for the performances are going to Red Cross Tornado Relief. And it's really unique because apparently a lot of independent theater companies and college groups have contacted Joss Whedon's camp about getting the rights to do it, and we're the first theater company that's been given permission to do it. And you can check out we're on Facebook. It's the Plaid Players Presents Dr. Horrible Sing-Along Vlog. We have an Indiegogo project. And like I said, all the proceeds are going towards Red Cross Tornado Relief for the Southeast. I'm playing Dr. Horrible. Yeah, I forgot that. Yay!
At Newtonville, we're currently finishing post-production on our current full-length feature, Ghosts, about the Ghost Hunters. Hopefully that will be out this fall. We're finishing up digital effects and music on it now. But before that will be our anthology short film collection, Tales from Newtonville, which will be out by the end of the summer, and we're actually going to premiere it at Friday Night Film Fest in Kentucky, so we're real excited about that. And I have at least 3 different scripts I'm playing with right now, one which is an epic superhero film, and the other 2 are horror films. But I feel like there's a real opening in the indie film market to do a superhero film. And I think if somebody does one properly, puts it out there, that the fans will really respond. Whereas with horror, there's just so many, and like Tarantino said, it's like waves on the beach. You just have to find a way to differentiate yourself from the pack. And he said, if you make a work that's a stick of dynamite, throw it out in the crowd, and it fucking blows up, everybody will respond to it. So that's what we're hoping to do.
I'm working on a number of things. A novelist buddy of mine named Michael Lewis Calvillo and I have been collaborating. I have 2 short films, one of which I kind of co-wrote, and one of which he actually wrote for me, that I will be combining to create an anthology at some point in time. That might or might not be first. I also have options on both his first and second novel, which we've already converted into screenplays, and they're fantastic. He's a very intellectual, psychological horror writer. Outside of that, I've got a number of corporate gigs that continue to pay the bills.
I'll be editing Perception production and getting that finished up. Also, we've done a couple of other short film scripts. One of them is called The Ghostly Gas, written by a screenwriter up in New York City who sent it to me about a guy who eats some possessed refried beans and has some ghastly results. Yeah. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And then there's another project that I would like to get finished eventually. I've started a screenplay on a film about, it should be feature length, and it's about a possessed mirror called Curse of the Matabi. And what I want to do with that one is shoot like the main characters here in the U.S., and then I have other filmmaker friends in other countries that I'd like to shoot different scenes so that we'll have like a worldwide, look to it, and make us look like we've had this huge budget and traveled all over the world, which we didn't. So it should be fun.
All right, big shout out. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.